Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Afia Sports Banter Box on Afia TV. The frequencies still remain the same: channel 254 DSTV, channel 17 Go TV, and channel 748 Free TV. It's great to be back here today on this wonderful day, the 5th of February, the year of our Lord 2026. A day when many people who are great were born, especially in the world of sports, but that's not the major focus. We'll wait till the end of the show before we highlight one or two Homo sapiens, or should we call them Homo sapiens or whatever, individuals who celebrate this day as their birthday. But for now, welcome to the show. I'm Sisi Emechebe, also known as Sisi the Rabbi, and we're running through something here in the Afia Banter Box. And remember, the Banter Box is a special show where no holds are barred. We call it as it is, have a debate style, and then we begin to deliberate on one or two issues. And we have gladiators who are here in the house every Thursday from 5 p.m. to banter and debate on a particular issue. And believe me, punching below the belt is allowed in this. And I mean it figuratively, not literally. Please, before you take me to those that you shouldn't take me to. Anyway, but that's by the way. So we're going to be talking, first of all, before I introduce the guys in the house, I'm going to be talking about the first part of the Banter Box. Something happened recently in the Npfl. That's the Nigerian Premier Football League. And it has to do with one of the teams here in the Southeast, Kun Khalifat to be precise. Now, Kun Khalifat was walked over when they failed to appear in the Premier League against Katsina United. So as a result of that, based on the Npfl rules, Kun Khalifat was walked over, and then Katsina United were given the 3-0 win by default. Kun Khalifat lost 3 points, lost 3 goals, and it was recorded as a loss in the Npfl standings. Now, let's not forget that Kun Khalifat are rock bottom in the Npfl. But there was a twist in the tail because the chairman, the authorities of Kun Khalifat said that they've had it up to here, and we're going to read the statement, official statement from Kun Khalifat FC regarding what happened. It's there on the screen. And it says here, "It is with great disappointment and frustration that I, the owner of Kun Khalifat FC, announce our immediate withdrawal from the Nigerian Professional Football League, Npfl." Now, sick because it's Nigerian Premier Football League. Effective immediately. This decision follows the outrageous and disproportionate sanctions imposed upon our club by the Npfl for failing to honor a single match fixture. The punishment handed down to us for forfeiting 3 points and 3 goals and a fine of 10 million naira is not only unacceptable, but a clear indication that the league's management is more interested in penalizing clubs than fostering growth and development. We provided valid reasons for our inability to fulfill the match obligation, yet our explanation was deemed unacceptable. We believe that the Npfl's decision was biased and lacked transparency, demonstrating a clear disregard for the challenges faced by clubs in our great nation. As a club, we have always strived to comply with the league's rules and regulations and have made significant investments in our team and infrastructure. It is disheartening to see our efforts being undermined by an organization that seems to prioritize punishment over fairness and justice. The Npfl's actions have left us no choice but to withdraw from the league. We cannot continue to be part of a system that disregards the well-being of its member clubs and prioritizes revenue over development. We urge other clubs to join us in demanding reforms and greater accountability from the Npfl. It is time for Nigerian football to move forward, and we will not be part of a system that stifles growth and progress. We thank our fans, players, and stakeholders for their unwavering support. We will continue to explore other avenues to showcase our talents and represent Nigerian football with pride. We are done with the Npfl. Kun Khalifat FC, February 3rd, 2026. First of all, I said we are done with the Npfl. It's almost sounding as if you be beans. Are you done? But I'm just trying to get to take away the sting from this. It is a disheartening situation, and instead of trying to fix the blame, we should fix the problem. But it's not my job to fix the blame or the problem now. It's my job to hear from the guys in the house today. I have 2 gladiators, regular gladiators, who are going to be here, and they'll be locking horns and throwing punches regarding this issue. And the issue is very, very clear. What is the issue? The issue is this. The question is this. Do you consider Kun Khalifat's withdrawal from the Npfl the right move? And on my right, I'm going to start with by introducing to you somebody that we all know. We all know this person as a, I want to say podcaster. I wanted to add to your monikers, but no problem. Since you're using podcast mics, no problem. So a podcaster, a presenter, a failed footballer in his own right, and then of course a musician, producer, from all angles. I'm referring to none other than Emeka Madueke, the priest of football, the self-acclaimed priest of football, because his priesthood has many commas.
I mean, my work speaks for itself.
I've not finished introducing you. Come on, you want me to be like Kate Scott? Anyway, let's leave that aside. So, Emeka Madueke, the priest of football, Femelo himself, who is here to defend himself and also defend one side of the argument. Welcome, Emeka.
I'm glad to be here. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure.
But
also,
I still don't agree with you on that field football. I mean, my career is impeccable, but let's leave it.
And so is the career of so was the career of Jimmy Traore, but he won the Champions League. No problem. Okay, now we go to the next person here. She's a lady who's always with us on our shows, and she's part of the family, the Afia Sports franchise family. I'm referring to none other than the woman, yes, Tawa Pionu on television. It's not going to happen to me, not now. But none other than the lady herself, who is always giving giving everything that she's got concerning sports, and she can stand her own against with anyone as far as the world of sports is concerned. I'm referring to none other than Queen Chioma Chikeze. Queen, good to have you.
Yeah, it's nice to be here once again, Banter Box. I've missed this for some time now, but it's great to do this once again with Emeka, and let's pull it.
It's great, of course. A slugfest is in the offing, so we want to see that. Definitely. You all know the rules, and the rules are these. There are no rules. Anyway, that's by the way. So we're going to get straight. I'll repeat the question, and then I'm going to take your stand. Do you considering what we just read now, yes. Kun Khalifat, unfortunately, Kun Khalifat is based in Owerri. So we're looking at a situation where two Owerri-based clubs, first of all, Heartland FC last season, yes. and then Kun Khalifat this season, have now moved out of the Npfl. Yes, Heartland were relegated to the NNL, yes. but Kun Khalifat's situation is a bit more dicey, a bit more serious, and we will get to that. We will talk about that in a bit because this is very, very important. But we'll be right back. There is something we need to tidy up in just a split second. Stay tuned. It's still the Afia Sports Banter Box on Afia TV. We'll be right back. To the Afia Sports Banter Box on Afia TV. Sincere apologies for that. There was one technical glitch which we needed to rectify to give you the best service, especially on this Afia Banter Box session. So we're back, and we're going to continue from where we stopped. The question, I repeat, is this. Do you consider Kun Khalifat FC's withdrawal from the Npfl to be the right move? And I'm going to start with the lady, Queen. I won't call you Queen Khalifat. But, Queen Chioma Chikeze. Yeah. So what's your take concerning this issue? It's a very dicey issue. I'm very sure that many people didn't see this coming. Mm-hmm. I know I didn't see it coming. Sure. And the world of sports generally, and football in particular, needs answers. They need to get a clearer perspective of what's going on, and they need to know the sides that people are taking, because we need to talk about what's right and not necessarily who is right. But I need to hear your side.
Well, I consider it a very good one. Though my little issue with it is that it goes nowhere most times, because Kun Khalifat are not the first to withdraw from the Npfl. I've been trying to remember this Port Harcourt-based team. I think somewhat in 2021, 2022, thereabout. They also withdrew due to decisions against the team by the Npfl management body.
Not Rivers United.
Not Rivers United.
They
were a very young team coming up, trying to build reputation. Yeah. The issue was that we are trying to promote the Npfl. They had their own media. They tried to cover their games whenever they go, both away games and home games. And they went to these particular away games, and the away people decided to stop them from, covering the game. Yes. Because, we know the shenanigans that happened in the Npfl most times from the home teams. So they were afraid that if we allow these guys stream this game, a lot of things that will happen here will be seen. So that brought up an issue. And somehow, either they abandoned the game or there was an issue, and then Npfl body came in and began to sanction them for going to away games with cameras to cover games. And they were like, no, we are trying to grow this brand, this product. And you hand us this kind of, we're not doing again. We're off. Now, Kun Khalifat, we have complained to you that we have issues. We know how the roads in Nigeria are. And this is more like a club that is trying to build. They are not as big as the other clubs owned by government and all of those. So if they had told you that this is the problem we're having, and they have written to you before time to say, reschedule this game. We're not saying we want to miss it or we want to abandon it. We're saying reschedule this game so it can enable us to arrange properly for this game. You didn't give any reply to say, oh no, we are not taking your request and all of those. You must play this game.
Yeah.
Instead, they felt like, okay, silence is a yes. In any part of the world, once you're silent, it means you have agreed to whatever have been put on the table, and they decided, oh, okay, maybe. They kept silent, no response. That means they have accepted, and they failed to appear. Now, you did not just sanction by taking away 3 goals and 3 points. You went ahead to add 10 million naira to a team that couldn't even fail to attend a match based on logistics, which falls down to finance. And you're sanctioning them at that level. I don't understand it. Like they said, I was wondering, is it about sanctioning these teams? Or is it about getting the best out of these teams? I mean, because look at what we've had in the past. We've had multiple sanctions. What's their name? Kano Pillars, name it. Nasara United, most club, Remo starts at some point. A lot of clubs, you will see 10 million, 5 million, this, that,
So
that.
can I come
What
in here
happens
now?
to this money?
Okay.
We have never seen the Npfl come out to give us accountability of whatever is being done within the frame of this league. We hear we are signing deals, sponsorship, and all at the middle of the season. The deal will go off. No proper accountability from this side. So for me, I stand with this, and I think it's high time people and teams begin to stand up for what is right and begin to demand answers. Until we begin to do that, a whole lot will not go
Okay,
well.
we're going to get Emeka's take regarding the matter, but it is our duty here to give you breaking news because as we were talking, breaking news came in. And the breaking news has to do with this particular matter. And I'm announcing right now that Kun Khalifat has made a U-turn and they're back in the Npfl. Now, this comes following positive discussions with the league body, and they will face Shooting Stars in their next match at the Dan Anyam Stadium in Owerri on Sunday, the 8th of February. Now, let me read the official statement very quickly, then I'll take Emeka's take regarding the matter. Now, Kun Khalifat FC returns to the Npfl action. So, urges fans to turn out in massive numbers for the upcoming fixtures against Shooting Stars. Now, Kun Khalifat FC is pleased to announce its return to the Nigerian Premier Football League, so they corrected themselves there too. Following positive discussions with the league management board, the club had earlier withdrawn from the league, citing unfair treatment and disproportionate sanctions. Michael Amefula, the CEO of Kun Khalifat FC, expressed the club's delight at the constructive dialogue with the Npfl board, as we are happy to put our differences aside or behind us and focus on the beautiful game. We appreciate the league management company and the league management board's willingness to listen and address our concerns. We look forward to a more collaborative and productive relationship moving forward. Now, the club has been reinstated and is set to resume its Npfl campaign with immediate effect. Kun Khalifat FC will face Shooting Stars of Ibadan in their next match, scheduled to take place at the Dan Anyam Stadium in Owerri on Sunday, the 8th of February, 2026. We are calling on all our fans in Owerri and beyond to come out in their numbers to support the team. This is a crucial match for us, and we need the backing of our supporters to get a positive result. Kun Khalifat FC acknowledges the patience and loyalty of our fans during this challenging period and appreciate your continued support. The club is committed to entertaining the people of Owerri with exciting football, and we promise an unforgettable experience for all who attend the games. The management of Kun Khalifat FC is optimistic about a successful return to action and is counting on the energy and passion of our supporters to drive the team forward. Ticket information and other match details will be announced soon. The club looks forward to welcoming fans to the Dan Anyam Stadium Owerri on Sunday. Thank you. Michael Amefula, CEO, Kun Khalifat FC. So, good news, but at the same time, a lot needs to be explained because I have my own views concerning this, but I'm here playing devil's advocate. So we need to hear. We've heard what Queen has said. Emeka, over to you. What is your take concerning this matter?
Well, thank God for the breaking news that just came in right now, and it is going to aid what I was going to say initially because we've seen it like she correctly stated. They are not the only thing that were handed out a sanction this season. Kun Khalifat, so alongside Kun Khalifat, Kano Pillars was also given a 3-point deduction and a fine as well. But you didn't see them withdraw from the league. Yes, I understand that. Okay, the fine might be hefty, might be quite bombastic on the club to slap them a 10 million naira fine because they are struggling financially. But you have to understand that the board is the board. The board has the right to issue out deductions and issue out sanctions. And if the board deems it right to issue out a 10 million sanction, they have the right to do so. The only thing you do now is not to withdraw from the league, but to appeal. Because we've seen it even in other leagues in Europe when there was the Nigeria case with Barcelona and in La Liga. They didn't withdraw from the La Liga. They appealed and appealed. They had several court cases they went to go and appeal for before they eventually won the Nigeria case. So you have to do the same process. Withdrawing from the league is not sportsmanship, like from my own perspective. It doesn't show sportsmanship. It just shows that, okay, you feel you have the right to pull out when the situation feels uncomfortable. If that was the case, why didn't Kano Pillars say, okay, we're not doing this again?
There are
and
two
just pull
different
out?
issues. Kano Pillars had the reason why they were sanctioned. I mean, there was violence in their stadium. They had issues, but this one, we didn't fight. Our fans were not involved in any violence.
The same fee was what was brandished. It was the same fee that was brandished, the same 10 million naira that was brandished.
But then, even if you're going to sanction us, you're not going to give us a heavy sanction as at the same sanction you're handing out to people who, endangered people's life. Let me use that word. We only missed an encounter. 3-point deduction, 3 goes, fine and good. Even if there is going to be a sanction, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, not 10 million. So what's the difference between someone who constitutes nuisance
My point here is
and
not the
another?
fine being slapped around. My point here is if you're issued a fine that is not agreeable by you or your subordinates, you have to appeal. Withdrawing from the league isn't the right way to do it.
Okay. Let me, because of the issue that.
But don't you think that withdrawing from the league actually brought about this coming together to
I don't want. Let's not. I don't believe in speculation. All speculation is valueless. But there's element of truth. There's a lot of credibility to that. A lot of merit to your argument. But we cannot state categorically what was discussed, the terms that were discussed. But you can rest assured that one can assume that happened. But assumption is not on the table now. We work with the facts we have at hand. So based on those facts, I'm going to come to you and ask now, in my position as devil's advocate, I'll ask now, you're supporting Kun Khalifat, feeling that they have every right to have done what they did at initial, at least they got the attention of the Npfl board. So the likes of Honorable Benga Legbele heard what they were saying, the likes of David Snowumi heard what they were saying, and decided to act accordingly. That's speculation. But first of all, no, the rules are the rules. This is the angle I'm coming from. The rules are the rules. There's a point he raised, which is very, very weighty. If you feel that you're being unfairly treated, because like I said, rules are rules. You don't bend rules to accommodate anybody. If you feel that you're being unfairly treated, what you do is that you don't challenge the rules. You appeal to the rules. Because there should be a human face to every system. So appeal to that human face. But when you're going at loggerheads with them and then threatening, you're setting a precedent, a very wrong precedent. So what I'm saying in essence is this: Kun Khalifat made a gamble. Somehow we could say that the gamble has paid off. We don't know yet what they're going to suffer for that. But at the end of the day, shouldn't they have done things better? Like a certain presidential candidate who went to court, even when he had his suspicions. Shouldn't they have appealed to the system and then protested the decision in a civil manner and waited for a feedback rather than just taking that drastic step? Because it's been a long time. Actually, no, scratch that. I don't think in recent times we've seen any Npfl side withdraw from the Npfl.
True. I think another approach would have been, taken by Kun Khalifat. But again, I mean, like you said, there is a face to every system. And as human beings, we react differently. Most times, impulse. We react on impulse. Because we even watched that statement. It came from not the management of Kun Khalifat, but now the owner of the club. probably would have felt so hurt. I mean, I'm trying to put this thing together and these guys are trying to frustrate me. Okay, let's just leave it at once. May we not do again. Everybody just go rest, And at that point, like you said, we are assuming, and I'm assuming because I know how this country works. Let me use that word. Yes, I know how this country works. Most times, if you try to say follow the golden rule, most times you are ignored and you are not even given attention. But when you feel like, okay, we just have to do this thing, let it just happen, and whatever happens, happens. And it's a good thing that from the statement, the two parties have come together and probably ironed out their issues. And Kun Khalifat is back in the Npfl. But the truth is, I don't even know if Kun Khalifat, another angle to it is, for Kun Khalifat to have taken that step simply means that they might have looked into the rule book of the Npfl and have seen that something like that, especially that extra 10 million behind it, might not be in the rule books.
Okay, let me get to Emeka first. But when you said something about knowing how Nigeria works, you give the impression that you have been under the tutelage of a certain professor, Unago Callistus Shege. Anyway, let me turn to Emeka now. I'll come from this angle. You are fully in support of the Npfl for doing what they did, for slapping the fans they did, and then you raise
in support.
Okay, fine. You're in support. I know whatever you want to, whatever kind of support you want to call, but you liken the situation with Kun Khalifat to the situation with Kano Pillars. Like Kano Pillars were fine, they were sanctioned.
Yes.
But she pointed out something that's also very valid. There was a lot of hooliganism and vandalism involved in Kano Pillars issue.
Yeah, I understand.
And lives were threatened. So the same, I think that, like in the law, there are what you call felonies and misdemeanors, and they attract different levels of punishment depending on the severity of the crime that is committed. That's why you have civil cases and criminal cases.
Yes.
Now, having said that, wasn't the Npfl, and please let's scratch out what the recent developments, like I said, we've not looked at it and studied carefully to know what exactly was discussed. Now, is it not the right thing for the league management to come out and give a human face? Because a wise man said something once that any constitution that will not bend will break. Because, like the good book says, man was not made for the Sabbath, but Sabbath was made for the man. In other words, principles are there to help people. So given the circumstances surrounding Kun Khalifat missing the match in the first place, they should have considered what led to them missing the match in the first place instead of slapping a 10 million naira fine. That seemed to be very, very high-handed. So that's the angle I'm coming from. Don't you think that the Npfl should have done things better? Because if they had done things better and maybe given them a slap on the wrist, because context is key, we would have avoided these whole shenanigans of pulling out of the Npfl in the first place out of anger. Because people make mistakes out of anger.
Well, when you look at it from that context, yes, the Npfl could have looked into things better, could have maybe reassessed the case again, looking at the differences between the two teams. Now I'm talking about Kano Pillars and Kun Khalifat FC now. Kun Khalifat not showing up for a match isn't as grievous as the hooliganism that went down in the Kano Pillars case. Yes, a lighter fine should have been slapped. That I agree on what Queen's arguments. I agree on that. It shouldn't be on the same level as that as Kano Pillars. Maybe a 3 million, a 2 million, or a 1 million fine would have been more appropriate. But at the same time, once a fine is issued, a fine is issued, like I said. And now it's not your job to not determine whether you deserve that fine or not. It's to appeal that you don't deserve that fine. A fine is given. A fine can be appealed to either be reduced or to be taken away. That is my point. Now, when you look at this case now, it could have been treated in a more gentle manner by the Npfl. Yes, I don't subscribe to their heavy fines that they jump around here, left and right for clubs when they find them faltering. But at the same time, when a fine is dropped, and they are well in the body rights to drop that fine. Now, all you need to do now is, as the owner of each club, if your team is dealt with a fine and a sanction, normally, you're going to get a 3-point deduction and a 3-goal deduction. That is not negotiable. Now, the fine is what you are going to appeal for. And once you appeal for that fine, you follow up the appeals until your case is treated with a softer hand, not to go about withdrawing from the league. That is not called for.
Okay, so having heard both sides of the argument, and like somebody once said that you can only get a synthesis when you have a thesis and an antithesis
Yes.
and get together. I think we have done a bit of justice to that. And we want to commend the Kun Khalifat management for going back and doing the right thing. And also, because I'm very certain that the Npfl was involved in this, there must have been a discussion, but we'll get the details about that. And we'll break it here on Afia TV as soon as we possibly can. We'll be right back after this short break because we have another issue to discuss, another banter topic to look into, because sometimes some people think with an Orwellian mindset. You know, George Orwell said in his famous book, The Animal Farm, that all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. We want to know this particular animal that feels more equal than others. Stay tuned. You'll find out who exactly it is. Afia Sports Banter Box on Afia TV. The frequencies have not changed. They're still the same. Channel 254, DSTV, Channel 17, Go TV, and Channel 748 Free TV. Welcome back, guys. We had a very refreshing session. The first one where we talked about the Npfl, Kun Khalifat FC. And of course, in case you did not get that breaking news, Kun Khalifat FC have returned to the Npfl after leaving in anger. Now they're back to the Npfl. The terms of that agreement, not known yet, but we will keep you up to speed with that in our subsequent shows. Now we go straight to the second topic in the Banter Box section. And I want to seize this opportunity to sincerely appreciate Queen. I almost called her Queen Khalifat again. To sincerely appreciate Queen Chioma Chikeze for her position, for taking her position, and then, of course, giving a good debate and a good verbal warfare with Emeka Maduka, the Prince of Football here. And now replacing her in this other side is the man that we all call the divinator, Divine Onwuka, whose divining tools have no NAFDAC number on them.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for throwing that bullet. No problem. I've got it already.
My pleasure. Wear your Kevlar vest next time.
No problem.
So we have another issue that we want to discuss, and that has to do with the English FA, the Football Association. Now, it is not news to those who have been following the English FA for quite a while that the first cup competition final has been fixed already. I don't mean match fixed in terms of fixing, but it's been settled. Who will face who is already agreed. And that's because in the semi-finals of the English Football League Cup, that is the EFL Cup, Carabao Cup also, that's what it's known as. The first semi-final rather, had Arsenal Football Club knock out Chelsea Football Club 4-2 on aggregate. So they got to the final, and they're going to be locking horns with Manchester City, who did the job against the defending champions, Newcastle United, who they beat 5-1 on aggregate. Now, the issue is this match, the final is going to be next month, in the month of March, but there is a little bit of an issue because Manchester City have struggled this season, this period, the last couple of months defensively, because their senior defenders, people like Josko Vardiol, Ruben Diaz, and is it not Netanaki? John Stones. Those three in particular, the stalwarts of the defense, the spine of their defense, have been decimated. It has been decimated. The injuries have decimated their defense, and they are having some serious issues, which was why they went into the market and spent over £30 million to secure the services of Crystal Palace captain Marc Guehi. Now, you buy a player with big money so that the player can play. That's why they're called players. But there's a bit of a challenge that Manchester City have with the rules. And that has to do with the EFL rules. Any player, now I'm rephrasing the rules, any player who has featured for a team that has been in the EFL Cup in previous rounds cannot play against another team, or rather for another team in the EFL Cup in the subsequent rounds. That's actually how the rule is. I'm just trying to rephrase it so you can understand how it is. But that rule was slightly bent a bit so that one of the other January signings of Manchester City, the person of Antoine Semenyo, the Ghanaian wing forward, could sign from Bournemouth and then join. And he has played in the EFL Cup for Manchester City, and he's been very, very instrumental in their bid to get to the final, which they have. Now, these are the words of Pep Guardiola, the legendary manager of Manchester City, who is seeking to win yet another EFL Cup. He has won so many of these titles. Wembley is like a second home to them because in the past 12 years or so, 11 years actually, they've reached Wembley 32 times. That's how dominant they've been in Wembley. So he's used to this. But the manner in which to maximize the Wembley experience is diminished because one of their strongest defenders now is Marc Guehi, and he may not play. So these were the words of Pep Guardiola. He said, hopefully we can convince the Carabao Cup that Marc Guehi can play the final. I don't understand why he cannot play the final. You buy a player for a lot of money and he's not able to play for a rule. I don't understand. Hopefully they can change it. Antoine Semenyo arrived before the first game so he could play. Now it's the final. Why should Guehi, not play? Why not? We pay his salary. He's our player. I said to the club, they have to ask, definitely. Well, the news came out not too long ago that the English FA heard the formal appeal that was given by Man City to include Marc Guehi in their matchday squad on the final to bolster their defense against Arsenal. But that appeal has been rejected, and it's causing a lot of uproar in the northwest of England, particularly in the Etihad Stadium. So Manchester City will have to navigate their way around and hope for the best, hoping that maybe one of those senior defenders who's been out due to injury will be back in time for the final, referring to either Ruben Diaz, Josko Vardiol, or John Stones, which then begs the question, our second Banter Box question: would it be proper? Okay, now, this was the question before this news came out. The question was this: would it be proper for the English FA to adjust the eligibility rules to allow Marc Guehi play in the EFL Cup Final? But I'll rephrase the question now, since the news has already come out. And it's this: while the English FA justified in refusing to adjust the eligibility rules to allow Marc Guehi to play in the EFL Cup Final. So somebody here, one of these two gentlemen, is going to take the place, stand and defend the EFL Cup for taking a stand and saying, no, you cannot break the rules. You cannot bend the rules. They cannot apply to you and apply to no one else. And then another person will have to speak from the standpoint of the club and explain how. So I'm going to start. I don't know who's taking what side, but now I'm going to begin with Emeka Maduka, the priest of football, and see what he has to say about this. Emeka, over to you.
Right. So, initially, I wanted to start on the side of Man City, but I changed my mind halfway through because we assessed this case, and it's not the first time the FA has bent the rules one for Man City, or let's say allegedly move one or two things around to accommodate the Manchester City side.
One or two things, or move like 115 things.
150 things, allegedly.
Okay,
and now it seems that after doing them a favor just a few weeks ago, now they are looking for another favor again, which is to allow Marc Guehi play in the final. And if we keep on allowing them bend the rules, it's not going to be trustworthy from the FA anymore. I'm on their side this time around because they were able to put their leg down and say, no, they're not going to accept the appeal to allow Marc Guehi play this final. Man City have always had that 115 charge tag on their head. Nothing has been done about it. The FA just seemed to wave it off. Man City continue life as usual, buying players, doing this, doing that. While teams like Everton that did minimum or less than what Man City has done were slapped with point deductions and possible relegation. And now it seems like, okay, whenever Pep Guardiola cries foul, the FA is there to rescue him. And this time around now, the FA has decided to turn their back on Pep. And now it looks like, oh, they're doing Man City a great disarm. I am actually happy that the FA have decided this time around to put their legs down and say, okay, no, we're not going to listen to the appeals of Man City anymore. We're not going to allow you cry foul, and we're going to turn a blind eye to the rules and just do to your whims. I'm glad that they've decided to put their legs down this time around, because it would have been a great injustice to allow Guehi play after adjusting the rules to allow Semenyo play.
Okay, so strong points you've raised, and they have their own merits, but clearly we have to get a balanced view of this, and
Definitely.
that's why we have Divine here. So I'm sure you've looked into your crystal ball to know exactly what is in the mind of the
As the
Man City
divinator,
hierarchy.
I be, man.
The divinator now, of course. So what's your take regarding the matter? What's the mind of the average Man City fan, the Man City players, the Man City technical group, and then of course the Man City board, from the standpoint of what is fair? Because justice, equity is essential when making rules. So please, let's hear what you have to say.
Okay, yeah. Okay, from a Manchester City's fan view. Point of
Generally,
view.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'll actually say that for the fact that the main defenders are not there. You talked about John Stones. I talk about Josco Vadio, and then
Ruben Diaz.
Ruben Diaz is not there. That was actually the main reason why they purchased the services of Marc Guehi. So if they actually made an appeal to allow him play, and this is a final for crying out loud, right?
Yes.
Against Arsenal. So they should know that an exception can be made for Pep Guardiola and Manchester City, because it's almost safe to say right now that Manchester City's defense is in a tight corner or tight angle, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So given the reason why Guardiola wants Marc Guehi to play the final, then for the sake of, should I say, for the sake of empathy and for the sake of viewing reasons with him, I think they should grant the appeal from my own point of view, from a Manchester City's point of view. Speaking of which, this is not the first. I know there's an exception to rules, right?
Yes.
Good. So they should make an exception for Pep Guardiola. It won't be the first time, actually. This is not the first time a coach or a club, I'm not even talking about Man City, I'm talking about club generally in football, both in England and outside of England. This is not the first time that they will make an appeal to a particular rule that was made and it will be granted. This is not the first time that will happen. Not only for Manchester, not only for Manchester City, even for Manchester United, Chelsea, and the rest. So it's not the first time an appeal will be made concerning a rule, concerning a regulation.
Now, I want to ask you a question. Yeah?
Go ahead.
Now, the law of your land says do not kill. But because, I happen to be a senator's son, I kill and I'm now granted amnesty. Does that make it less wrong?
Okay, so what about the security personnel who kill? Should there be an exception to that also? They are killing for safety, right?
Okay,
I'm talking about the police.
I don't follow. Is Pep Guardiola killing for safety?
No. He asked the question. I'm
asking you that question because now you're making it seem because now they have 3 of their best defenders out on injury.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know that yes, everybody wants to use the best available squad to play cup final. Exactly. Yes, you understand your thoughts and your.
Good. I'm even happy you understand it. Go ahead.
At the same time, the laws are the laws. If you cannot play because you've represented a team in that competition before, the laws have to stand by the laws.
But this is not the first time a rule will be bent, just to be clear, right?
And how many more times shall they bend the rules for Man City?
No, I'm not talking about Manchester City alone. In the past, hasn't Man United bent a rule? Oh, sorry, let me not use that word, bend the rule. Hasn't Manchester United gone for an appeal for a particular regulation or rule that was put up?
And how many times have City cried foul and the FA has given up to their whims and allowed them get
and hold on, and then these other clubs that I've mentioned, Chelsea, Manchester United, Liverpool, Tottenham, Arsenal, and the rest.
Several teams
was it only once that they cried foul?
Several teams have broken laws, and several teams have been met with sanctions and point deductions.
And several teams have been given that appeal.
Still yet to face a certain punishment.
Let FA decide that. Let FA decide that. But right now, this is my own point of view. They should give that appeal. They should actually look into it and consider Pep Guardiola's crime.
Because it's Guardiola or because it is the right thing to do?
That's what I'm saying. Let them decide. But I
decided to put their leg down and say no.
Okay, fine. But from my own point of view, from a Manchester City fan's point of view, I am saying, or should I say I am crying just like Pep Guardiola, they should actually give the appeal and give the go-ahead and considers Manchester City's plight at the moment.
I want to read an excerpt from basically what allows Semenyo to feature so that I can understand because in the game now and the issue with Marc Guehi and basically just give people context of this. Now it says here that for as long as English Cup competitions have existed, we're talking about the English FA and Cup competition. The English FA has been in existence for a very long time, over 160 years, because the oldest cup competition in world football is the English FA Cup, which was the first final was played in the year 1865. So it's that long. Yeah. So it's existed for that long. So as long as English Cup competitions have existed, players have been cup tied as soon as they appear for any club in that competition that season. So this is a case of being cup tied. Now, the EFL actually altered this rule this season, which is the reason Antoine Semenyo was available.
Okay.
They altered the rule slightly. Now, if they alter the rule slightly for for Antoine Semenyo, and then another appeal was made for Marc Guehi, put yourself in the shoes of. I'm not taking it inside. I'm just trying to give some context so that you can know. Let's get this competition rolling.
Okay.
The FA, English FA know that they are facing scrutiny right now. They know. They're aware. They know about the 115 to 130 charges that are hanging over the heads of Manchester City. They know that everybody is waiting with a bated breath for the verdict of that, because you can't just go through those kind of charges and then get them swept under the carpet. There are too many.
Yeah.
Considering the fact that, like we pointed out rightly, Everton were punished for less, even less, about 2 or 3 charges. Nottingham Forest faced the same thing. But Manchester City, 115 to
Clubs
130
like Chelsea and
charges.
Aston Villa were made to
Chelsea,
also
75, 73 charges. But they themselves, there's still a lot that's been discussed. So precedents are being set. And the English FA know that scrutiny is on them. So it would have been damning for them to allow Marc Guehi in there, so that everybody would then say, without a shadow of doubt, Manchester City have the FA in their pockets. So I want to just give that context right now. That's not to say that is the case. It's just a case of protecting your reputation and your dignity and integrity, or what's left of it.
Yeah.
That's the situation right now.
No.
Now, having said that, I'm going to come to you now. You're speaking on behalf of Manchester City. I quoted, just before we went for a break, before this segment, I quoted George Orwell, who wrote that masterpiece, Animal Farm, one of my favorite books from my secondary school days, which was a very long time ago. Let me not get into that. More than 3 decades ago. So you can know who you're talking to. Now, there were 7 commandments of animalism, and they all got fine-tuned down to 1 commandment. And the reason they were fine-tuned down to 1 commandment is because the pigs who were in charge of Animal Farm that had been converted from Manor Farm, the pigs converted it, and then the pigs started lording it over them through Napoleon after the deposed Snowball. And then every time they would break a commandment through Squealer, particularly, Squealer would then go and then alter that commandment that was broken to justify the breaking. So they kept on reviewing all those commandments till the 7 commandments were narrowed down to just 1. And it's all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. Does it not appear that Pep Guardiola in particular, as an individual, and Manchester City in particular as a club, seem to be that animal that is more equal than others? Doesn't it appear that way? And that would actually damage the reputation of Man City and the FA if they had allowed that. So even if you're saying this is Pep, okay, on what grounds? Who is Pep? Pep is a manager. First, Pep Guardiola is a manager.
Working on the English Premier League.
Yes. So what gives him the rights to have that preferential treatment in a situation like this? So that's the angle I'm coming from before I come to Emeka's angle too.
Okay. So what gives him the right to,
to actually ask? Yeah, it's veiled as a plea, an appeal.
That's what
everybody knows. Yes. Everybody can see in a subtle way that there's more like a demand, because demands usually come from the standpoint of an entitlement mentality, and Manchester City have been known to have an entitlement mentality. Yeah. So just let's look at what is veiled and what is not veiled. So please go ahead.
So I'll say this: an appeal. It was an appeal. So I said
on the surface.
Yeah. We don't know what's happening on the inside. Anyway, so since it's an appeal, I feel that he's in a tight corner. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I feel might be happening. I don't really know what's up, but I'm telling you what I'm seeing from my own point of view as a Manchester City fan. So I'm seeing this more like a plea for the FA, the governing body, to consider his situation, which is having his main defenders sidelined due to injury. So he wants to do that to strengthen his defense, because probably FA has seen that this man doesn't have the strong defenders to actually keep up. The team he's facing is Arsenal, for crying out loud. And we all know this one, nobody say I know the support and the support. We all know that Arsenal right now, should I say they are in red hot form. So we all know who they are going to face. From attack to defense, Arsenal is a very tough team right now. And I must say, Arteta is doing a very good job this season so far. So he wants to know if he can stand a better chance of winning the FA Cup. So he is making a plea. It's not about entitlement. He's seeing this as, okay, I'm in a tight corner. Can you guys please help out with this? This is what I am seeing. That's all I have to say about that. I'm not seeing it based on you must do this and you must do this. So he's making a plea and saying, please, let this happen. Let's know how far we can go.
Okay, Emeka, riding on that, I'm going to come to you now because clearly you're supporting the FA.
Yes.
And it seems as though the FA are defending themselves and making sure that they protect the integrity of the game and the integrity of their rules. And then they are for rules of law, the rule of law, rather. Even though the FA are not guiltless, in times past, they have gone through different things.
Yes,
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I won't say they've made calculated mistakes. You know, there's a difference between a mistake and an error. So they've made errors.
Yes.
Yeah. So errors and mistakes are two different things. Yeah. Don't ask me what the difference is. I'm not talking about that right now. But they've made some errors that have benefited others.
Besides Manchester City, right?
I can look very well at PGMOL, for instance. That's a clear example. But having said that, shouldn't the English FA try to temper justice with mercy and make it even if they're going to justify the inclusion of players at this moment?
Yes.
Like we've seen cases where, like I'll give you an example. When COVID came, because of the severity of COVID, the rules changed slightly.
Yes.
More extra time was given, and then more substitutes were provided. It rose from 3 substitutes per match to 5 substitutes per match. So desperate situations call for desperate circumstances.
Yes.
And this might be a desperate situation, considering how light Man City are. What I want to ask, I'm coming. So what I want to ask is this. Do you think the FA would have done something like creating a level playing ground for everybody and saying, you know what, other players that have gone on loan, or rather that came in the general transfer window in other clubs, not just Man City, even if you're cup tied, let's just make this a level playing ground so that you can all allow them to participate. Someone like James Ward-Prowse was affected. I think he moved to Burnley or so.
Yes,
so he was affected. He's cup tied. So that kind of ruling right now might allow James Ward-Prowse to represent Burnley.
Now, if it's something that they are going to make a universal standing that, okay, if in the January transfer, this club acquires so players and they were cup tied, there's going to be a clause for these players to be included in the semi-finals and the finals potentially. That is good. But when it is to bend for the favor of one team, that is where I'm standing against. Because if it was to be the case of Manchester United or Chelsea or any other team in the league right now, I'm very sure there won't be any room to give an appeal. Okay. I'm not throwing anything to the FA or trying to say that the FA is catching size, but we all know the story between the FA and Manchester City. We all know the love affair between the two of them.
Really?
I don't know the love affair.
Love affair? You're not serious right now.
Shining in touch when I'm not love affair. All right, guys. So we'll be right back after this short message and we will wrap up this entire show. Stick around. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to the final lap of the Afia Sports Banter Box on Afia TV. Frequencies remain channel 254 DSTV, channel 17 Go TV, and channel 748 Free TV. Now, this is my final thoughts regarding the matter. First of all, the first topic on the Banter Box regarding Kun Khalifat exiting the Npfl, and since they have returned, they've been reinstated. Any decision has made on impulse. Any impulsive decision has consequences, and that's what Kun Khalifat needs to understand. They need to be very, very careful and try to play within the gambits of the law, because the law was there to protect. Now, even if the law doesn't seem to be protecting, appeal to that same law. That's what I'd advise them to do. And the league management should also consider this. Show a human face to things. Kun Khalifat had valid reasons, maybe not legitimate reasons, but valid reasons why they could not honor that match. But it's a good thing that things have been resolved. I hope they're resolved amicably so that there's no bad blood between both sides. Then concerning the English FA's eligibility rules were made to help man and not vice versa. But if you're helping one man at the expense of another man, that's where there's a problem. which is why I personally applaud the English FA's insistence on putting their foot down and saying, you know what, there's no favoritism here. We have to do the right thing because our own reputation is at stake. Because your freedom to swing your arms ends where my freedom to protect my face begins. Thank you very much, guys, for being with us on the Afia Sports Banter Box. And I want to sincerely appreciate Queen for being on the show earlier today. Thank you for all you do. And then, of course, Emeka Madoka, the piece of football, self-acclaimed piece of football.
Thank you for having me. My work still speaks for itself.
Whatever. And then, of course, the divinator himself, Divine.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
And I also want to appreciate Wisdom, who was behind the mic and doing things behind the scenes. And in the MCR and PCR, thank you very much. Chiamaka, you do a fantastic job. All the same, your reward is not just in heaven. But also, I thank Jonathan, Jonah, like I always call you. You're the man. Thank you very much, everybody who's been involved. And I want to thank especially our floor manager extraordinaire, Tobe himself, the man. Thank you very much. And we'll do this again tomorrow by 5 p.m. Till then, remain blessed when we meet on the Afia Sports Preview Square. Till then, I'm CC the Rabbi, signing out.